Hello, r/teenagers, and welcome to Teencast, the show that delves deep into the professions of personalities all across the world. My name is Josh, and today I'm joined by our two other hosts, Eric and Andy.
Hello. Hey, guys.
And I am extremely delighted, because I've been pushing for this for quite a while now, to invite the special guest to join us for episode 4 of Teencast, the one and only Matthew Cullen. Matthew is the lead singer of the band 0936. I'm going to kind of list off a load of genres: alternative rock, rap, electro, whatever, metal, whatever you want to call it. And it's kind of a refreshing change from, the modern day bands. But if you'd like to say a little bit about who you are, Matthew, that would be amazing.
Man, I every time I get this question, people are like, "What kind of music do you make?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. That's a I make a genre blended type of thing, and I grew up rapping first and listening to heavy music. So along the way, I ended up kind of blending it into my own thing. It took me like 15 years, but finally got to this point. So that's me. That's what I got going on.
So a lot of our listeners will be a lot of people are like aspiring music artists, or just generally interested in music. So would you mind like telling us a bit about how you got started exactly?
My brother bought a Meek Mill CD like from him in like 2008 or 2007 even, and he was like, "Oh, I just got this from him." And for some reason, like I was like, "This is your friend, like you must know him," which he obviously did not know him. He bought it as a fan, but he like got it from him from being near Philadelphia. And since then, I was like, "Oh, that's if your friend can do it, then I can probably do it too." I don't know why I thought that when I was a 9 year old, but or 10 or whatever age it was that he actually gave me this. And so me and my friend Brendan, we raked a few lawns and we got $40, I think, and we bought like an Xbox headset with a microphone, and we cracked Cool Edit Pro. If you've ever heard of that, it's a recording program that does not exist any longer, and we started just recording songs like 24/7. Just rapping over like YouTube to MP3 converter, trying to figure out how to like mix songs. And we did that for like 5 years. And then obviously like on my birthday, my mom bought me like a $99 microphone, like a USB mic, when I was like 13. And I just watched YouTube videos all day on like learning to make songs sound better. And I was doing Photoshop and I was like learning to make album artworks. And I kind of did that until I was about 16, I feel like. And there was SoundCloud, I think was at the time like what was really going on. I would upload like once a week to SoundCloud, like a new freestyle or something. And then by the time I was like 18, I was uploading like one music video a week, and I would just meet people that I went to school with or people that, I knew did video or photo, and just be like, "Hey, any money that comes in from this, I'll split with you evenly. Like whoever's working on this, I don't know if it's going to be $100, I don't know if it's going to be $1,000, like, but if we make any money, I'll split it evenly with everybody." And that's kind of how I got started. I got lucky. Something went viral that had nothing to do with me. And Lil Pump actually ended up finding it and showing it to his managers and his lawyers, and for some reason, and then they called me out to LA when I was I 18? And then I kind of fell into a group of people. But my producer, who I met when I guess I met him when I was 18, so maybe I'd have been 20 or 19. I don't even know. It's all blurred together at this point. Which his name is No Love, and we've been working together since I know the year 2015, and yeah, just kind of been doing this ever since with him.
Did you say Lil Pump, by the way? That's such an out of like the blue. Yeah. Wow.
I did a remix for his things, and someone uploaded it as like Eminem, and then he found it and thought it was that, and then I got a phone call on Thanksgiving, like Thanksgiving night. It was like, "Hey, I'm with Lil Pump right now. We want to fly you to LA tomorrow." And I was like, "Oh, if you want to book me a round trip ticket, I'll go." But me and my friend and a hotel, and I need to see like all of this itinerary. This is a phone call. And then they were like, "Cool, no problem." They sent it over that night, and I called No Love, and I was like, "Hey, we're either gonna get killed or we're like gonna get a deal. So we should go see what's up with this." And we did, and that we kind of met all the people that we know now through kind of that situation. Then we moved to LA together and So yeah, it's kind of.
And that was when you were 18. Too.
I think that when I was. See, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm drawing a blank here. So I moved when I was 21. So then I was 19 when that thing happened. I think.
That's
I moved
crazy.
2 years later when I was 21.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that's kind of what.
That's still super young.
That's
yeah,
insane.
that's
story.
insane, man.
That's some like crazy luck.
That's so that's
That-
incredible.
That's what people say all the time. They're like, oh, it's mainly hard work, and I'm like, there's a lot of hard work, but it's mainly luck, in my opinion. Like you can do things over and over and over and over again, and there's people that are way more talented than me. There's people that are way more talented than half of these massive artists, but they just never got lucky. And I feel like, of course, there's some things, and if you're not persistent, you won't probably get the luck. So that's like the argument that a lot of people.
I was having
like,
this
well,
conversation. I was having that conversation with my brother a couple of days ago, and how like the boom of like early 2000s, like post grunge rock, metalcore.
Mhm.
There was that many bands in that era that like so many of them just got lost. It's like it's insane to think.
And I think that happened in the 70s too, like when major labels, kind of made the artists who they were, and like that's what was in the store, and that's what was on TV, that's what was on the front of the magazine. That was luck who got picked. I don't necessarily know if it was about who was more talented. It could have been look plus talent plus songs plus whatever, but it was a decision by somebody. So I think it's mainly luck. I do think persistence helps your chances of getting lucky, but yeah, that's so that's kind of the whole thing.
Just
So
really who
obviously,
notices you.
oh, sorry.
Just someone who notices you first and gets lucky, kind of brings you and lifts you up. That's kind of how a lot of
I think
musicians
you
get
just need that. I think you need to get lucky enough to find that person that'll do that.
So obviously, right, Lil Pump and his team were, they were they were a big part of getting you to where you are now. But do you think there were like any other influences? Like you mentioned your brother buying the CD that sort of made you want to start or formed your style, stuff like that.
Yeah, my mom's sister's husband at the time, he had like he like made beats. And I was like, hey, like before I spent or I had my mom spend $99 on, it was a Samsung CO1U. If you know what that is, it's just a microphone. It's a USB mic. Before I asked for that for my birthday, I called him. I was like, can you record some songs and like make them sound good? He's like, yeah, I can do that. So like, it's funny knowing now, like, because my nephew will do that to me. He'll be like, hey, can you record me? And I'm like, yeah, I can. Like, he's 6. But I do it, and like I mix his song, like I mix them for him, and he listens to them all the time. We get in the car, he's like, can you play my song? I'm like, yeah, I got you. So I think there's that, that stuff. But I think more so like the Lil Pump thing and like the people that I met there, they were the reasons I got anywhere, in the current state that I'm in. And even I think people that say it's all that there's no luck or whatever involved, like even people be like, oh, what about Russ? Like who just uploaded a song every week to SoundCloud. It's like, well, SoundCloud had to bring you to him, or someone had to bring you to these songs. He was just very persistent and very good at what he did. You know what I mean? But I think even if you work as hard as him, you still need some luck somewhere,
Would you say
definitely.
That's easier nowadays to get popular than it was back when you started?
It's also way harder. Like I think it's more accessible to get like a thing going, but I also think with the oversaturation, it's way harder at the same time. So and
there's
also
a lot of noise.
Yeah, if you don't play like the whole TikTok game or the algorithm game or the Reels thing or YouTube Shorts, like I'm horrible. I don't even post. Like everybody always gets on me because they're like, yo, you need to do something besides make music. And I tend to not, which I know is a bad thing, but it's hard for me. I don't know.
That's the thing with like social media now, like TikTok and Instagram, because like my brother, he was like the guy that got me into music. I'm wearing a Breaking Benjamin jumper right now, and he said, the first band that he found was Breaking, and it was like from a game that he found, and I think it was like from the We Are Not Alone album or something like that. And he just like the first that he was like, oh my god, this is amazing. So then you go to the nearest store, you get a CD, and it's like, let's just hope this album is amazing. But nowadays it's like, oh, I've just heard a 30-second clip, and now I can just find this album.
Yeah, exactly. You see these people performing at festivals, and they sing the 30-second clip, and that's all that they know, and like back when I was a kid, and my brother, because the first CD my brother gave me was what you call it, I don't know if you know, which Limp Bizkit CD was red? Was it the actual CD, not the cover, the actual CD? It was either Significant Other or was Chocolate Starfish. It was one of the two. That was the first CD I ever had. I think it was Chocolate Starfish. Chocolate Starfish was a silver CD. He gave me both of them. One of them first. But then also had like the was it Family Values? Was that the tour name with was like Limp Bizkit? Let me see. I'm gonna make sure I'm not like lying. Limp Bizkit, Korn, Ice Cube. Like they had it on DVD. Like I got the DVD. I had the Bullet in a Bible DVD, like the Green Day one. So like I used to be able to like watch the stuff as well. But I feel like, and I would sit down and take an hour and a half and watch a full concert when I was a kid, like on DVD. And now it's the 30-second clip thing, like you were saying. So
it's been more difficult. Instead of like full albums, people are more listening to like just small 30-second clips, right?
Yeah, and I feel like songs are more forgettable too. Like songs release every week. When I was a kid, you had to buy the whole album, and then you're like, I spent $11 on this album. I'm listening to the whole thing. Now it's all free, right, with the subscription, but it's all free. So, it's like you can listen to it, you can not listen to it, you can listen to it one time and then never listen again. It's like, but if you had the CD, you're gonna listen. So I think it's harder.
From your first album, there were changes to the way you sing, rap, and even scream. How would you say your music has evolved since you started? Do you think anything would cause that?
Yeah, I know. I mean, semi-strategically, like coming out of just doing only rap stuff and wanting to listen to or wanting to make heavier music, we kind of were like, there's certain songs too that are coming out on this project that were made before the first EP. There are songs on the second EP that were made before the first one. There's a song on this EP that was made right after Adrenaline was, and it's the one that I'm happiest with. Like it's the single coming with the release of the project. We kind of made it so that the stuff wasn't too heavy on the first project because we didn't want to scare away anybody who did listen to us before. And then we kind of always had the idea to transition into the sound that it is now. I thought it'd be a lot quicker, but we did have some heavier stuff on there, like Reset on the first project. Like that has like the heavy riff. We still play that live sometimes.
Well, you have the Bare Bones album as well, don't you, with all the acoustic stuff? So yeah. I really, really enjoyed that album as well. So it's just nice that like you obviously started with rap. Then I feel like with the acoustic stuff, you kind of was like, okay, I can also sing. And then also as it's kind of gone on, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, by the way, I can also scream.
Yeah, I took singing lessons for like 3 years before the first project even came out. It was just like I wasn't that. I mean, it was fine. I've learned to sing a lot better since. Like, and mainly what that is touring. Honestly, I think that makes you a better vocalist than anything else. Doing like 200 shows, like, will just make you a better singer, like innately. So that's kind of been a bigger thing for me too. And also just seeing what works better live kind of makes you want to transition to more of those things in the studio. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is way sicker live than this other stuff. And then you kind of cater to that more, and at least I do.
So live influences how your albums release, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, talking of that, I saw with Rise Against a couple of days ago. Have you heard of Trash Boat? I'd never.
Yes, they're.
And live, they were just insane. Like live,
they're really great.
They're just the change though from their studio stuff to live. He is so heavy live.
Is it way different?
Yeah, It's like
Yeah, they're great though. They're great on
oh yeah, they're fantastic, but it was like a complete like
yeah.
change up, and I was like, okay, this is great, this is amazing.
No, band's sick.
But I mean, we spoke about how obviously you've kind of evolved as an artist. But like, how do you see like the future of like rap, metal, rock going? Do you feel like, because obviously with like Linkin Park, it kind of found like the incorporation of rap and metal, rap and rock. Do you see that going, or do you feel like they're going to isolate again?
I think there's differences in like certain styles of rap and like kind of the metal stuff, like, you know, the way like the Mike Shinoda influence on rap, you know, it's kind of more bouncy, it's like more melodically driven rap stuff, whereas like I feel like there's a couple people who are making heavier music that are rapping more similar to the way that I do, which is I feel like more like traditional rap, I guess. You know, there's like, but there is a lot of those like bouncy, like melodic type of rap, you know, where it feels like you can sing the rap parts, and that's what Mike Shinoda was so good at, right? Like every rap felt like it had a melody to it, even if it didn't, you know. And I feel like that style is often incorporated a lot into heavy music, and like, there's other people like Echo. If you heard of Echo, he raps kind of more similar to like my style of rapping, I feel like. And I think it'd be cool if there was more of that stuff going on for sure. But you know, Echo's really great, and just that kind of stuff. But I do think that the kind of the rap, like the Mike Shinoda style of like stingy type of rap verses, are never gonna not be in metal, because
I mean,
it's widely apparent.
Did you kind of like? The thing is, I always find with obviously your style of rap as well, it is like Eminem almost style rap, you know, but within rock for sure. I feel like it's that, and it's like it's a big change to like yeah, let's use Linkin Park as an example. Mike Shinoda, completely different vibe.
Yeah, and I think like maybe there will be more of that kind of style going forward. I don't know. It depends. I feel like a lot of people that kind of rap more traditionally like don't really get into the heavier stuff much. Because even when like, you know, certain stuff, and I don't always do like angry rap all the time. Like specifically, like I don't know, on the song Underneath, the third single from the project, there's like that little 4-bar section after the first verse where I'm rapping.
Yeah.
And it's more like a laid back kind of like rap deal. It's not like melodic. It's more of just like a chill type rap. I've seen some people being like, it just doesn't fit the song. It's like, well, it doesn't fit like to you, I guess, because there's no like bounciness, there's no melody rap to it. It's more of like a, you know, like a chiller thing. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. I think we have to have a couple people push this, like the kind of same thing with country music currently in like the United States. Like everybody's doing it now. I think you just kind of need everybody to jump on and do a certain thing at one time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Kind of ride the wave.
Yeah. Who's that? I think you said Rod Wave. I was like,
no. Ride the wave.
Yeah. I was like, Rod Wave's doing country. What the
heck? Well, like, kind of like on that type of like topic, obviously lyrical processes for you. I mean, in the modern day, I find you like your lyrics amazing, like really, really good lyrics. But for you, like, how does the songwriting process look? Like, how long for you? I know you probably won't be able to put a number on it, but how long does it take? How many people do you get involved, or do you kind of just do it yourself?
Yeah. The for me personally, like I like to. My goal every time I go into the studio is like, let's make something that doesn't sound like the last thing we released. Like I don't like being stagnant. I feel like one thing that Hollywood Undead has always been really great at is they can drop like a rock album, or they can drop a rap album, or a jazz album even, and their fans would be like, this is the best, you know? And I think they've done such a good job not pigeonholing like the sound of Hollywood Undead is this specific thing. Because then when you don't give the people that, I feel like they're like let down. But when you're not expecting anything, you're just excited that stuff's coming out. And I kind of always enjoyed that about certain bands like Hollywood Undead, stuff like that. The way that they are able to kind of present themselves as like, we just like making music. As far as like songwriting process time goes, like I I have a couple like staples that I like to do. Me and No Love, I love starting everything with him if possible. If not, he'll kind of always touch on it a little bit at some point. And then Caleb from the band Gideon, I always have him write breakdowns for pretty much most of the stuff. Uh, and then as far as lyrical stuff goes, I will keep like a note of ideas, or if like I'm talking to people or someone says a cool saying, I'm like, oh, that would be awesome to do. So I'll write that down in my notes. And like if we're writing a song, like what I usually do is I'll just go in like on the mic and I'll record a bunch of like melodies where I'm just like singing through the whole thing and try and find like what feels the best to me. I think Post Malone also writes that same way. Um, and then if any of my song titles fit, I'll go with that. Or if I hear something cool in the melody, I'll try and like gravitate towards that. Certain things are weird though. Like I remember specifically Adrenaline, because obviously that song did really well for me. So like I feel like I just have a fonder memory of it. I was with my friend Ian. He's in a production duo, Mark and Ian, and they produced my song Leave the Light On. They produced my song Self Destruct. They're amazing. They're like two of my favorite people on the planet. And I remember, I think Mark was in Hawaii, and me and Ian just got together, which was the first time we ever did that. And then I was playing like these 4 chords, and Ian was like, "Yo, that sounds." And I was like, kind of like plucking the strings a little bit, and Ian was like, "Give me it." He's like, "We have to cut that." And I ended up writing the way that the song is right now, aside from the rap verse. I wrote the hook and the first verse in like 15 minutes and one taked it, and then left because it was just us two. So we were only there for like 2 hours. Wrote the whole thing in 15 minutes, and recorded it. And the vocals that are on the track are the ones I recorded that same day. And then I went back and cut the rap verse later. When Mark got back, he cut all the guitars, and No Love cut all the cellos and stuff like that. But yeah, like that specifically took me 15 minutes. And then other stuff like the 936 song that just came out on
Which
Friday.
is bomb, by the way.
Thank you. We spent like 3 years, like, because every time we did it, like there was a 21 Savage song that I referenced for the piano, and my first keyboard player that we had, he used to set up a GoPro because he was sponsored by some company, and he would send in like live footage. And we were playing a show at Shiley Acres in Virginia. I don't know. It's the only time I've ever been there. And it was midday. We were like third person on this small festival. And they had they just started chanting 936, which obviously 936 is the band name, but 936 is what they were chanting. And then so in my head, I'm like, we had 1 by 1 on the first EP. We had 2 by 2 on the second EP. So I was like, we'll do 936 for the third EP. And that's what they were chanting anyway. And like, it was completely unprovoked. I texted him, I was like, can you send me the GoPro footage of that? I want to see if I can pull something. And I pulled that like crowd chant, and we put it in the song over that like piano in the beginning. And then I wrote the first half. And then, so that song, my song I'm Not was supposed to be the second song on this new EP. And then I ended up leaving Atlantic. I don't own those masters. So like I couldn't put it on this EP. So we cut off the ending, and we spent like 3 years just chopping into different parts of this song. So something like that takes forever. So there's definitely no like normal, and that one's just No Love. No one else produced on that at all. So it's like, yeah, there's never any timestamps on anything. Some stuff is 15 minutes and it does the best that it's ever done for me. And then some stuff takes 3 years, and I don't know if anybody ever cares. So, that's kind of, that's overall, the process is always different. And I think that's what, for me, makes it more interesting. And I don't get tired of making music ever. So yeah, long-winded answer. My apologies.
It is all good. I think it's kind of hard to get a grip on how much effort goes into writing a song, especially if you're not, experienced in it. Yeah. But I do want to ask, you have a few songs that are like collaborations with other artists. Like I think you have one with Travis Barker, right?
Mm-hmm.
From a few years ago.
Yeah.
How does that like affect the songwriting process? And is there anyone that you really want to collaborate with on another song on like in the future?
Yeah. Short answer on who I want to collaborate with. I would love to get Corey Taylor on something. That's like the only person that I need to do a song with. because if anything happens to him or if anything happens to me and I don't get that song, I'm gonna be very upset. So that's like the one I'm like gunning for it. I've been gunning for it, so hopefully he wants to do something one day. But yeah, so someone like for Travis Barker, like me and No Love and my buddy Keith Veron wrote In My Hands on Zoom because like during pandemic stuff. And then I don't even know. Travis Barker was supposed to be on the end. He was supposed to drum on that song originally. That was the plan. And then he ended up going on tour and was like, dude, I can't cut it. It's like, but send me something like later and I got you, I promise. So sent him that song and he sent it back in like 2 hours. He's like, oh, my drums. He's like, I'm gonna cut them right now. So he cut them. And we kind of wrote that song for nothing, like not for nothing, but like with no specific intent. And then I was like, man, this would be so sick because that's one of my favorite songs still. It's still in our set. I love that song. And then Clever, I'm a massive Clever fan. I don't know how it happened either. I think we followed each other on Instagram or something. I was like, hey, you want to get on this? I have Travis on it. And he was like, hell yeah. So he came to LA. And I think this was around the time when people were like, oh, you can be around 5 people at a time. I don't know. We're following all sorts of rules all the time. But they're like, you can't be with anybody. And it's like, you can be with 5 people. And we're like, all right, let's get in the studio. So I don't remember exactly what it was. But Drew Folk, who is one of the best producers in the world right now. He does all the Motionless stuff, all the Ice Nine stuff. He just did the new Knocked Loose album. He did like Five Finger Death Punch. He's out of his mind. He did Disturbed. He's the sickest producer ever. And he like mixed that song, but he's like, I love Clever. I want to record him. You should bring him to my studio. So we went and recorded that over there. But Drew is a maniac. He's amazing.
Sorry, I just want to circle back around a bit to earlier you mentioned inspirations like Mike Shinoda, which I used to listen to Linkin Park a lot, like growing up, because my dad was a huge fan of them.
Yeah.
Still is, but like listening to your new EP, like 936 was obviously the first one that I listened to because it was recently released.
Yeah.
Banger, by the way. But how long, obviously you have a new EP coming out September 6th, right? How long would you think you've been working on songs specifically for this album?
Yeah, no, that I was saying like the single that we're pushing when the album drops is 3.5 years old. And it's like, so I don't know, it's crazy. Like the newest song on there is Kill Me. We made that in March, I think, or January. Like we put it out like immediately after we made it. And then like my song I Felt It All, I recorded last February with Landon from The Plot in You. He produced it and he vocal produced it and he helped me write it, and he's like the sickest producer writer of all time. Plot in You's probably my favorite band right now, like above everything. So Landon wanting to work with me is like really cool. I remember I DM'd him like 5 years ago. I was like, hey man, just want to let you know you're the best producer, band, singer, frontman, period.
They properly hopped off recently with Forgotten as well, didn't they? That fucking breakdown is insane, man.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, I'm so happy. I'm so happy that and Feel Nothing went off, and then Left Behind went off, and then Forgotten went off, and then I'm so happy because I love him so much. So and I love that band so much. I'm just glad that they're getting the world is showing them the reaction that I feel when I listen to them. So like I'm like, sometimes I'm like, man, do I like bad music? And then it like will go. I'll be like, no, I'm just ahead of it, and I'll just tell myself I'm ahead of it.
So, off of your new EP, you mentioned earlier that obviously 936 has been a 3-year-long project, and you mentioned that you really liked it. Yeah. Are there any other songs that you're like really excited about or you really like off of it? Like more than others?
The main single that's like 3.5 years old. I remember I was trying to show it to my label at the time, like after Adrenaline. I was like, we should follow up with this. Like this is the one. And they were like, oh, we don't like it. And I was like, oh, okay. Which is fine. I had all the creative control. Like when I was at my label deal, I loved my label deal. I loved everybody that worked at the label when I signed there. But the problem with label stuff, obviously, as you've probably heard, like people leave, people quit, people get fired. Like, and then the team that you signed to isn't the team that you're working with, and now it's like a bunch of people that don't care, you know. So yeah, but the single "Chasing Shadows" is the song. That's the one that I'm very stoked. I hope it does well. I love that song. I wrote it with No Love and this producer Eric Ron. Eric Ron did my song "Take Me Instead," and Eric has done he does all the Godsmack stuff. He does what you call it? What's it? I'm drawing a blank. He does a lot of everything. He does some motionless stuff, and he did the Nothing Nowhere Reaper album, which is why I ended up working with Eric in the first place, because that album is fantastic. So that's the one I'm most excited for sure. It's been the one I'm most excited for the whole time. So.
Even just that name has me excited, dude. I don't know. It sounds like a banger.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I was like, when I thought of the title, for some reason I thought of the title when we were working on the Saturn and Andy lyrics. Yeah, I was like, what does that mean? It's like, 'cause it sounds cool. And then I figured out what I wanted it to mean, which is obviously just like, which ended up being pretty obvious. It's like, is it like "Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls"? Maybe, low key. Maybe that's what I'm talking about. I was trying to remix "Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls" and I messed it up, made it metal.
Oh my god, Josh. Sorry. Anyways. Okay, so kind of circling back a bit, you mentioned a lot that you worked with other people during your albums, but you recently announced that you're going independent for the first time. What are some of the biggest creative challenges you've faced since you started out?
So the thing is, with leaving Atlantic, it was like everything was kind of I don't know how to say it. It was more like, a bunch of people helping me make decisions and stuff like that. What happened was, with the reason, because the original release date was like August something, or it was July. It was July 20. And I was putting the songs out just like by myself, like on like an independent distribution company, and I was doing that, and I ended up needing a lot of like money to do certain things that I wanted to do, and I was like not getting the response as far as like, I don't know how to explain it, but what happened was I thought it was going to be a lot easier to just kind of put the songs out and they'll do great, and then I get make my money back that I spent, and I don't really care about making money on this EP. I just want people to hear it, and to do that you have to spend money, but spending money is like, I want to make it back. So it was just became a lot of like logistic problems for me, like just doing everything by myself, like literally uploading the songs to Spotify by myself, that I ended up just looking around at like independent distribution companies that have like label services. So what that means is you own everything, you're fully independent, but you can get help from people for uploading through their distribution company. So we ended up taking a few meetings with these people, and whoever was like the most kind of interested was what I was going for, because I don't really need much monetary help with getting the project done. I just want to make sure that people hear it. I'm not losing money putting music out, because I have mortgage to pay, and so we kind of just did a few like meetings, and whoever was the most like excited to work on the project was what we went with. And 1RPM is a distribution company that has a label services team, and they're very, very smart, and they go really hard for the people that they're signed to. So technically I am signed to 1RPM, but it's more of like a contract, meaning like I have to upload 20 songs to them or whatever. It's nothing serious. It's like
they don't have any creative control.
Yeah, and I own 100% of my masters. So like I'm that's what independent really means. You own your masters. So I own 100% of my masters, and they have a great label services team, which is, every distributor gets some money for letting you distribute music through them. Even all these companies like DistroKid or TuneCore, I'm sure you've heard of these companies. They're like, if you have a band and you want to put a song on Spotify or iTunes, you go through DistroKid or TuneCore and you have to pay. So it's $10 per song on TuneCore. It's like $30 a year on DistroKid. Either way, these distributors are making money, whether they're taking money off the top or whether they're taking a subscription. So 1RPM is free to upload, and then you kind of just do like a label services thing. And that's the current thing that we're doing right now, and it's been wonderful. I love the people I'm working with. So that's kind of, it feels like I'm at a label, honestly, except I'm independent and I own all my masters. And I get to make all my decisions. And if I say this is the song I want to push, then this is the song I'm going to push. And it's really nice. So I'm super stoked, and everybody's very supportive and been great so far. We've only released Underneath and 936 through them. Kill Me and I Felt It All got like transferred over from the distribution that I was going through. And yeah, that's pretty much that's what's going on right now. So feel free to cut out any of this information that doesn't seem necessary when you upload the podcast. Okay.
It's all very it is interesting. It's people that are watching at home will be like, the people who want to be musicians will be hearing this, because I feel like every musician, they always get tied to, say it's Atlantic, say it's, whatever it is, these big record labels. I think Slipknot recently went independent as well, didn't they? And it's kind of like, I think they've got a bit of a weirder thing though, haven't they? I think it's Clown. I don't know what he's doing. It's something to do with that.
Yeah. So Slipknot was in the same system I was, which is Warner. Because Warner owns Atlantic and Roadrunner and Fueled by Ramen and Elektra and 300. It's like there's really only like 3 parent companies in the world. There's Universal, there's Warner, and there's Sony, and then everybody else is underneath them. So you got Republic at Universal and Atlantic at, so you have Columbia is at, Universal. It's just pretty much three companies, and it's all subsidiaries of all of those. So Slipknot was at Warner, Roadrunner, and then everybody got fired. Pretty much is what happened. So I don't think they were like, we don't have anybody that we've been with for 20 years. We're not going to stay here. I think that's what happened. Don't quote me. But yeah.
I mean, I feel like, knowing obviously the difference between independent artists and also being under a label, it's obviously extremely important to know what you're getting into, that kind of thing. But kind of getting away from the kind of studio stuff. I mentioned earlier, I saw you live with Shinedown and Asking Alexandria. And so like for you personally, do you prefer like recording in the studio or being out on tour? Because obviously it's very high intensity on tour, but
yeah, I love writing songs. I love making new songs, and I love putting together bodies of work, and like I do all the art and I do a lot of the art direction, and I do everything. So it's a little bit more than just making music for me on the back end, which is really enjoyable. Like I design all the merch, like I do everything. So I love doing the whole rollout is awesome to me. I love it. And like I said, I do love writing songs stuff, but touring to me sucks sometimes. Like being away from home for 60 days is terrible. But the thing that I like the most about touring, well, number one, the thing that I like the least about touring is being a singer, because if I get sick, show canceled. Everybody else gets sick, you can play through it. So like I'm like not paranoid or like a germaphobe or anything on tour. I'm just like always like mentally like worried about like, am I going to be sick tomorrow? My throat's scratchy today. Then it's just allergies. But that part sucks. Like the mentally taxing part. Like, am I going to be able to perform tomorrow? I feel terrible today. And then I feel it's like an off day and I feel terrible all day. And then I'm like, I hope I'm okay tomorrow. And that's all I'm worried about. I hate that aspect of it. The thing I do like a lot is playing shows when they go well. Then I love that. And then the main thing that I do like doing the most is meeting people. So like I go to the merch table after every single show that I've ever done, if I'm allowed. Some venues don't allow it. But every time I will always go, and I'll stand there for 3 hours. And I love meeting people who do genuinely care, because hopefully, I guess at some point that won't be a thing that I can just freely do as much. So if anybody does care, I would love to say hello or whatever. So I love that aspect of it. So it's so different. I hate flying, if that adds any equation.
That kind of reminds me of my dad was into metal, and he's in his 50s now, but he went to a show to see Motley Crue, and just a bar down the street he met Nikki Sixx and the entire band there, and Nikki bought him a beer. I still have album signed by him in the 80s, Shout at the Devil.
Yeah.
I have all signed by all 4 band members still. So
Yeah.
it's nice to know that you're still kind of interacting with the fans, because I know a lot of artists don't like doing that, and they won't bother with fans.
It's so weird. I feel like that's the only like upside to doing music. Like realistically, is like people enjoying the music that you make, and then them just being excited to see the
best part.
Like, because I know for me, like I met Johnny Three Tears when I was 12 after a Hollywood Undead show. I have a picture of it on my Instagram, or I did. I might have archived it, but and like that's like one thing that has always been like something that's so cool to me. Like my mom will talk about it all the time. Now like those guys are some of my best friends, and like I like watch their kids and shit if they ask me to. But you know, it's weird, but it's cool. Like for me, like being 12, like that's something that you'll never forget. So if I can have any sort of impact on anybody that gives them some sort of like lifelong happiness of memories or whatever, like that's, I don't know why artists don't want to do that. Like Post Malone notoriously wants to do that. Like he will stop for hours and talk to everybody, and nobody's ever said a bad thing about meeting him. And I know that he probably genuinely enjoys doing that.
I'm
so
right
it's
in
a
saying.
little weird to me.
I was just gonna say, for you know how you say like having that kind of influence on other people. I'm right in saying like Shinedown's one of your like like inspirations, right? And the fact that you got to tour with them, I bet for you was like, oh my god, like Brent Smith, like everyone, like oh my god.
I did an interview with like Loudwire, I think, and they're like, "Who's the best rock vocalist of all time?" And I said, "In my opinion, it's Brent Smith. His voice, his range, like to me, he's my favorite rock vocalist of all time. Best rock vocalist to me." And then like 2 weeks later, I get a call like, "Hey, you want to tour with Shinedown?" And I was like, "What the hell?" So I was like, "Yeah." So then I did, and then I remember talking to Brent, and Brent's the genuinely the best person I've ever met in my life. No questions asked. I was like, "Did you see that interview? And is that why you asked me to do this?" Because it was like 2 weeks later, and he was like, "I've never seen that interview ever." I was like, "Oh, that's so weird." But I thought this what did it. I was like, "Damn, I got to start talking about people I like more on the internet."
Is that why you spoke about Corey Taylor? Like, come on, watch the.
Yeah, bro, I've said it so many times. I've said it on radio. I've said it on other podcasts. Like, bro, I'm just trying. Jeez. No.
So speaking of sorry.
No, you go on.
So speaking of like listening to new artists and stuff that you're talking about, is there anyone, like obviously the music scene is always changing. Is there anyone who you're listening to who you think is going to get like really popular soon? Is there any like specific genre you're into right now? What are you listening to?
Let me look at my Spotify. Let me see what I'm liking on Spotify. All right, I'm liking Post Malone, State Champs, Julia Wolf, Quinn 92, The Plot and You. Who's not big on here? 44 Phantom. Do you guys have 44 Phantom?
Can't say I've heard of him.
No, I don't think I have.
44 Phantom is one of the best artists I've heard in a long time. That band Arm's Length. Are you familiar with Arm's Length?
Yeah, I've heard. I think just from like random Spotify playlists.
Okay, they're Canadian. 44 Phantom, Arm's Length, they're amazing. And then as far as like newer stuff, I don't think I save anything that nobody knows. Like I feel like everybody knows all this stuff.
Oh, I know 44 Phantom. I have a few of his songs liked.
Bro, he's so good.
Yeah,
he's amazing.
definitely.
I hope he blows up. He's amazing. Yeah, those are probably the two. Julia Wolf too is incredible, and I'm surprised she's like kind of getting big. I think, but yeah,
yeah. I think more recently she's blown up a little bit.
Do you guys have you guys listened to Ethel Cain? Have you listened to Ethel Cain?
A little bit.
Yeah, a tiny bit.
She's like the biggest, like literally like the biggest, like one of the biggest artists on the planet. And I followed her when she had like 10K on Instagram. So that's something.
So you're like early to it.
I feel like I have to be because I feel like all my friends work with these like upcoming artists. Like my buddy Lil Aaron, like I think signed Ethel Kane in the beginning, so like he posted her, and like I was like, oh, this is really good, and I followed it. And then she just she just got out of here. She's out of here. So, but yeah, that's what I'm listening to aside from like Post Malone, State Champs, like Morgan Wallen, Nothing Nowhere. Like everybody knows all these people.
So just jumping back to a bit of the topic of independence, you design your own merch and covers. Is that something you enjoy doing?
I like doing that more than most things. Like I design a lot of bands merch. Like I do all the Falling into Verse stuff. I do a lot of I did this poster for Hollywood Undead.
Really? Holy shit.
Yeah, I do.
Dude, that's so cool. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's fun, and I love doing it. And I really love, like, I love clothing and in general, like designers, and I love jewelry and like stuff like that. And then I spend a lot of time looking at all of it, and that's like my main hobby. So designing clothes is like, and it's a little different than the stuff that I'm into. Like I'm into more like looking at like runway stuff, but still it's doing clothing, so it's fun to design graphics. I did this, not this one, I did this skateboard for Papa Roach. I designed this. What the hell? Wow, I can't figure it out. There it is. And then I did this poster. And then any merch piece that I have, I've designed. I love doing it. It's fun. And
that's so cool, man.
Yeah.
Do you just have like kind of whenever you get like a little burnt out on making music, you just start designing?
Yeah, actually, this is a bad tip. I would not listen to this tip if I was anybody out there, but I don't make music often. I make music probably every few months. I feel I'll write for other people, or like I'll do stuff. Like I wrote on half of the last Hollywood Undead album. Like I'll write for other people and stuff like that. But for me personally, I start writing the same songs and I start using the same melodies and the same concepts like constantly. If I write 10 songs in 2 weeks, 5 of them are the same, so they're not getting used. But I can write for other people, and if it's 5 of the same songs done by 5 different artists, they don't sound anything alike.
Is that the Hotel California thing? Mm-hmm. Oh my god, man, that was an awesome oh my god, that's so cool.
I was talking to the guys about it, and they were all saying it's like top 3 of their favorite albums that they've ever done, and I agree. I'm a massive Hollywood Undead fan. I've always had since I was a kid, and like I think it's one of their best albums. I'm a little biased, a little bit, but even the stuff I didn't write on, like, and also No Love produced like on half of it, and that's my best friend. So I'm like, maybe I am.
My girlfriend kind of introduced me to Hollywood Undead a lot. We'd listen to it in her truck.
Yeah, it's great. They're great, yeah. And like, like I wrote on Ransom, First Class Suicide, Reclaim, Happy When I Die.
Wow, man, that's
I wrote on Monkeys, Go to War. I'm the one screaming on that song. Those are my
what? I didn't know that. That's so cool.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
That album kind of saw as well Jelly Roll's kind of massive explosion as well.
Bro, Jelly Roll is a different breed right now.
He's such a nice guy as well, isn't he? He's so great.
I met him in 2020. 2021 or 2022. I met him in 2022. Whenever I met him, I was at a festival. We were playing a festival together, Rocklahoma. So if you can find whatever year that was, he comes up to me and he's like, "Hey man, just to let you know, we listened to your music the whole way up here. I'm a big fan of your music, whatever." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." And he's very, very genuine and very humble, very sweet. And if I still I DM'd him like not that long ago, and he answered. I don't even know how he sees that stuff. But yeah, he's awesome. He's like the nicest guy ever. And it's very cool to see.
Yeah, I saw that one video. I don't know if you saw it of him and Brent Smith. They were at like this thing, and both of them are like, "Oh my god, hey!" I like just that massive hug. It's like
two of the nicest guys I've ever met in my life. So that checks out to me. Yeah.
So just on the topic of like creative design, obviously, you mentioned that you used to release. I mean, you really seem to enjoy releasing like music videos and stuff. That is a pretty big creative endeavor. Would you say that those are like vital to success, or is that just something you like to do?
At this point, it's unnecessary, unfortunately. I wish music videos were more. It's hard to even justify spending 10 or 15 or 20,000 on a music video anymore. It's like it's not even worth it, because the things that go are like that $1 Million Baby, that song by Tommy Richmond, like his TikTok's sick, look great, but like that is what kind of drives things now, is like small form, short form content. You know what I mean? So they're kind of unnecessary. I love them. I think they look great. I'm very excited about the Chasing Shadows video. I think it looks awesome. This guy Eric Easterday directed it, and he like kind of came up with the Knock the Loose guys, and has like a really raw style of filming, and it kind of looks like an early 2000s type of like music video, like on a white, in like a white studio type of thing. And he's amazing, and it turned out so cool that he had a really cool concept for it. So yeah, I love it. I wish I had like Falling in Reverse. They put like, I think they probably put $500,000 into those videos. They look insane. They're the best music videos by far right now, though, and it's not close. Like
the prequel music video was insane as well. From their latest album.
Dude, the All My Life video is insane. The Zombified video is insane. Like those videos are literally next level.
Watch the world burn went like very, very global, didn't it? That was insane.
And that Ronald video with Tech Nine and Alex Harrell, like insane visuals. Objectively, the best visuals, period, right now are coming from him. I wish I had that kind of money. I would do that.
I just like that they made Alex Terrible just this massive giant. It just suits him so great.
It's great. I think it's terrifying.
Well, like, obviously, you're doing all the creative influences. You're making music. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you've got to find a balance with like touring. How do you manage like that kind of balance for you? Is it stressful, or do you find kind of creating almost like a downtime kind of thing?
I don't know. Like, honestly, for me, it's like I won't do something if I'm overworking myself and becoming upset. You know what I mean? Like, if I think the balance, it's not like finding a balance. Like, the balance finds you kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's like if I just won't do something if it's not going to be beneficial to me mentally, because then I'm going to start making bad stuff. So it's like you need, and I've never been put on the type of deadline where people are like, hey, we need a full album by next month. Like, no one's ever said that to me. So maybe if they do, then I'll find out how bad it is. But I just try not to overwork myself, and also in the same time not be stagnant. Like, I can't just not do anything ever. That doesn't make any sense. But writing songs when I'm in the mood, or like, if I'm inspired by certain producers or something, I'll reach out and see if they want to work or whatever. And but I do find a lot of like creative like inspiration in doing graphic design stuff, because it keeps me creative, but I'm not writing songs or lyrics or melodies where I can get stuff that's kind of too similar. You know what I mean? So I think doing graphic design kind of helps me like stay, kind of leveled out, where I don't get lazy, but I don't burn out my creative process on music. You know what I mean?
That kind of makes sense. Like, you can't be just music, by the way. You can't be like writing all the time, or you'll burn yourself out and you won't make anything good anymore because you run out of ideas.
If you do anything too much, you're gonna also resent it. If you eat the same meal every day for a year, you're gonna be like, damn, I never want to eat this ever again. So
I feel a lot of bands they burn themselves out, and that happens. They start hating their fans. They start hating what they do. And
I get it, though, especially if you're having a moment. You're like, okay, we got to capitalize on this moment, because not every band gets a moment. And so I get it, but it's, to each its own. You think you just got to kind of figure it out for yourself. I
mean, talking of like kind of burning out, or like, do you have like everyone kind of says something different here, in regards to like interviews watch. Do you have like a vocal warm up before? Because obviously you don't want to damage your voice or anything before like tours or anything.
No, not before recording.
Okay.
Before recording, no. But before shows, I do. You just got to stay hydrated and like keep a normal amount of hydration. Like, don't overhydrate yourself, because then you're just peeing and sweating, and then you're losing all of your hydration. So don't overhydrate yourself. And then I use this thing, this like bottle thing that Brian from I Prevail, this is his company. This is Dr. Vox's company. It's pretty much it's a trick that everybody's been using forever. And one of my vocal coaches, Melissa Cross, she recommends using a straw probably similar to this, and like in like a big glass jug, and you pretty much just like make this, you hum and low and high and try not to change your volume, and this is really kind of all I ever need to do that. And then if I'm feeling really dry, there's a thing called a nebulizer, which is like a salt water like mask type of thing that you use. But other than that, I don't really go too crazy. I feel like I psych myself out and then I tense up and then I don't sing well. You know what I mean?
Well, to round off, a lot of people listening will be inspired by your experiences and stories. Do you have any advice for teenagers listening to this that you wish you were told when you were starting out or younger?
I would say the only thing is don't do what you think is like, oh, this is the cool thing. This is the thing everybody's doing. Like, this is the direction. Like, everybody's doing this, right? Like, because then you're going to end up being, first of all, not happy with what you're doing. And two, it's going to end up being a, kind of a, you're chasing a trend at that point. You see a lot of these artists that are kind of making the same thing, or like, oh, SoundCloud is how everybody's blowing up. You're going to be late to the party if you're kind of doing that. So the only thing that I would say is whatever you feel is best for you to do. It doesn't matter. And these are, by the way, I'm talking about good decisions. Don't do bad stuff and believe in it. If there's anything that you feel that is true to you, you have to stick with that thing. Don't let whatever other people are saying dictate what's true to you. Because if I don't know, I feel like if I just would have stayed in, what everybody else told me that I should stay in, which is just stick to rapping. Even the YouTube comments and stuff like that, people are like, you should have just stuck to rapping. This sucks, whatever. I feel like you're never going to be happy if you stick to.
You'll never enjoy what you do. That
the
kind of thing.
You'll never enjoy what you're doing. If you're not enjoying it, it is not meant for you. And I think you have to find, especially if you're not going to college to pursue a specific career, and then you're in college and you have a degree, you have to use it. If you're not enjoying like your niche thing that you're trying to make happen, it's never going to work, in my opinion. And I'm not where I want to be, and I hope that I'll be further one day. But as far as where I'm at now currently, the only thing that I've ever done has been true to myself. And I think that's the only thing that matters. Because if you don't have happiness in what you're doing, you are never going to do well with it. That's why a lot of this stuff too, like a lot of these trends that are going on, releasing a song every week type of thing, if that doesn't make you happy, you're going to start making bad music and it's not going to work for you. So I think, but if that's something you love doing, or like you make 1 million songs a week and that's your only happiness, and you want to release a song a week, then that's great, works for you. But following, other people's success paths, I don't think is ever gonna be for you. Be true to yourself, I think, is the only thing that matters, and that's what at least I've learned for me. So I hope that's not bad. It'd be crazy. That was bad advice. People are like, "Oh,
no, that was great advice. That was great."
Degree. I'm going to work,
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, you don't.
If you have a business degree from Harvard, don't start rapping.
Or incorporate them both.
It's on the side. Yeah.
Rap about business.
I would listen. I don't know about you guys, but
business rap.
I'm not qualified to rap about financial advice. But I'm sure someone is. So if that's true to you, get after it. You know what I mean?
Well, that was amazing. That was really, really good. I'm sure you'll have inspired a lot of people at home there, Matt. That was amazing to listen to and truly captivating. But yeah, well,
I'm glad you guys took the time. I'm glad I can make it happen. I'm very sorry that yesterday I got so. I was an hour away from home, and I was like, oh man, I should leave. And then they were talking about. I was telling him earlier, they were talking about photons and bosons, which is like a proton and it's like I don't. They're saying, long story short, but the science says that things can pop out of nothing. Like you can just be in space and a planet. There's atoms that are in superposition. Look it up. I don't know anything. I was just getting information yesterday. I can't read now, but I'm glad I got to do this. And I know the time zones are crazy. I don't know where I know he's in the UK, and I know one of you are in Canada.
I'm in Canada.
2 a.m. for me right now.
North Carolina.
North Carolina. What time?
Me and
zone?
Andy have the same time zone, EST.
Is that EST? That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Here we are. We've conquered every time zone.
All right,
But
Jesse,
yeah,
do
thank
do
you
your
very
reaction
much,
for me.
everybody at home, for watching. I really, really hope you've been inspired by this like we have. So we'll announce more guests soon. But thank you very much. And for now, catch you next time.